You use a multiplicative inverse when you divide fractions. When you multiply a number by its multiplicative inverse, the answer is 1. So every number has a multiplicative inverse. If I take this fraction 1/2 and I multiply it by its multiplicative inverse, I'm going to get 1 times 2 is 2, and 2 times 1 is 2. And if I simplify that fraction, 2 over 2 gives me a product of 1. Now the way you come up with a fraction's multiplicative inverse is you use the opposite of the fraction. You take your numerator, 3, and you make it your denominator. And you take your denominator and make it your numerator. So if you look, 3 times 4 gives me 12. And then for my denominator, 4 times 3 gives me 12. And 12 over 12 is just the whole number 1. So to come up with your multiplicative inverse, you're just reversing your numerator and your denominator. And this can help us when we divide fractions. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do a couple of situations where I can show you when you divide fractions, it's like multiplying by the multiplicative inverse. So let's look at this word problem. We have 6 cookies, and each person gets half a cookie. I'm trying to figure out how many people can eat cookies. So if I want to start with an equation here, I know that I'm starting with 6 cookies, and I want to divide each cookie in half because each person is going to get half a cookie. So what I'm thinking about is 6 divided by 1/2. Well, if I were going to draw a picture, I would start off with my 6 cookies, and then I would take each cookie and split it in half, or divide it in half. So I'm doing 6 divided in half. Now my answer is going to be the number of cookies, or pieces of cookies, that I've created by dividing these 6 cookies in half. So if I count up these pieces, I can see that 6 divided by 1/2 gives me 12. And 12 people can eat cookies. Now let's look at what happened with our multiplicative inverse. Okay, we're looking at our multiplicative inverse for this fraction here. I started with the fraction 1/2, and I know my multiplicative inverse is going to reverse my numerator and my denominator. So my multiplicative inverse is going to be 2 over 1, which is the whole number 2. So if I look, instead of 6 divided by 1/2, what I've really done is 6 times 2. And that gives me my 12 pieces of cookies. Because I want you to think about it. When you divide something in half, you're actually breaking it into 2 pieces. So you're taking every whole and creating 2 pieces. It's like 6 times 2 now. Let's look at one more situation. There are 3 tables in a classroom, and each student can have 1/6 of the space at the table. So how many students can sit at 3 tables? Well, again, let's start with our equation. I know I've got 3 tables, and I want to divide these tables so that each student has 1/6 of the space. So 3 divided by 1/6. Now, if I were going to draw a picture, I would start with my tables, and I'm going to divide them into 6. I'm going to make 6 equal pieces in each table. Okay. And then I'm going to count up how many people can sit at the tables. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there are 6 people at this table. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We've got another 6 here, and then 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I've got another 6 right here. We can see that it's 18 students total. Now look what we've done. Right here. Each table we broke into 6 pieces. So we started with the fraction 1/6. Okay, and if we look at our multiplicative inverse, that's really 6 over 1, which is our whole number 6. So what I've done is I've taken my 3 tables and broken them into 6 pieces, which gave me a total of 18 spots at the tables.